Well, good morning again, everybody, or good afternoon, or good evening, or good whatever. My name is Pam, and I need to tell you that because I keep forgetting. My name is Pam, and I'm welcoming you to another edition of You and Me and Multiple Sclerosis. Well, today I wanted to talk about an email that came into my inbox just the other day. It's from my favorite bookstore in the whole wide world, and it is truly one of the great bookstores in the world. It's family-owned, independent, huge, takes up a whole city block, mixed of used and new books, and it's a wonderful place just to hang out. Unfortunately, it's in Portland, Oregon, which is about 2 hours away from me, number one, and number two, it's kind of a crazy place there right now, and I'm just not brave enough to go. But they have an online presence, so all is not lost. But I wanted to show you what this email was about. So hang on here, there you go. We had a blog this month on July being Disability Pride Month, which is a new one on me. It's not official to the whole country or anything, but apparently it started in Boston. A number of the larger cities celebrate Disability Pride Month or make note of it in some way. I frankly had never heard of it before, but what they had done in the bookstore was to put together a list of books on disabilities for kids and teens. And so I thought, okay, this is interesting. I started to look through this a little bit, and what I found were books on all different kinds of disabilities, and then just some general books on making sure that kids understood that everyone had value, which is wonderful. Other stuff, though, other disabilities were things like cerebral palsy. There were a number of books on that. And there were some books that were on some really unusual disabilities that I had not ever heard of before, that had to do with an interesting disease of the eye, right? What is the name of this disease? See if I can find it really quickly. Well, there's one on polio while I'm looking for that. But anyway, as I scrolled through this list of books, deaf people and others, but I did, and one in a wheelchair even, but this was again cerebral palsy. I looked to see they didn't have any on someone with multiple sclerosis. And I don't know why not exactly. There probably is one. If I do a little digging, I could probably find a book for kids on multiple sclerosis, but I just didn't happen to see one in this list. Some good ones, and I recommend that you check out this list of books for kids and teens on disability. But I got to thinking about the idea of disability pride. And I wondered to myself, well, you know, it's probably similar to other types of pride months. And as far as I know, it kind of started with Black Pride. I remember that from back in the 70s. Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. And I think that may have begun the whole being proud of being in a minority. And so I think disability pride is just another way of, kind of associating yourself with these other pride months. So I thought about that, though, and I thought, okay, am I actually proud to be disabled? Is my MS something that I am proud of? And, it's kind of hard to say that. I mean, what is a source of pride? I thought about that. If you things that you're proud of tend to be positive things, right? Things that you can point to and say, this is something that allows me to be special in some way. Like, I'm proud of my sports ability, or I'm proud of my academic achievements, or I'm proud of my singing voice, or I'm proud of my looks, or whatever, right? You can be proud of many things. You can be proud of your children. You can be proud of your family name. You can be proud of many things. But they do tend to be things that, well, you wouldn't maybe have achieved everything you've achieved in life, or you wouldn't have had the life satisfaction you would have had without that thing, right? So if you without that singing voice, maybe career opportunities or just opportunities to bless other people wouldn't have been in your life. Other things, sources of pride, certainly our children. We are proud, and if our lives didn't include those children, our lives would be diminished in some way. So if you think of pride that way, I'm thinking, okay, disability. Is my multiple sclerosis the same kind of source of pride that some of that other stuff is? Well, I don't think so, honestly. I mean, I think that most of the things I would have accomplished in my life, I would have, even without the MS, maybe even more so, for all we know. I'd still be in the workforce, for one thing. I'm not that old. I'm not even of legal retirement age, or should I say traditional retirement age. Certainly the Social Security Administration doesn't think I'm of retirement age quite yet. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess I would think that I have actually had to alter some of my life's ambitions and goals. I don't think that my life is wretched or over because I have MS. No, that's a whole different thing. But as far as it being a source of pride, well, I'm not really sure about that. So then I decided to give that some more thought, because I thought about the word pride. And for Christians, and I am a Christian, the word pride, it goes right to the heart of the idea that we are creatures who have this tendency to be prideful, and that is not a good thing, right? Pride is probably the most serious of all the sins, because it's pretty much the root of all the sins, right? Why would I be envious if I weren't prideful? Why would I be covetous if I weren't prideful? I believe that I am more deserving. I believe that I am more special and wonderful than other people. So in other words, for the Christian, the opposite of pride is humility. You want to be a humble person. And by humility, I am not talking about, woe is me, I'm terrible, I have no value, I'm just an awful person. No, that's not what Christian humility is. But Christian humility just has more of a focus on others, and not always thinking of yourself before you think of other people. It's more of a sense of being truly joyful when you hear that other people have had good things happen to them, instead of feeling, eaten up with envy because they got something that you feel that you should have had or that you deserve, because after all, you're special and wonderful and you're unique and great, but the rest of the world, well, maybe not so much, right? But humility is a different thing. So when you contrast pride and humility, it's hard to say that disability is something you should necessarily be proud of. But, being an English major, I realized that there's more than one way to look at a word, and there are synonym, antonym pairs, more than one, especially in English. English is a great language for that. We can use the same word and have two very different opposites for it. Well, just as pride can have as its opposite humility, pride can also have as its opposite shame, right? You can be proud of something or you can be ashamed of something. And when you start to think about shame as the opposite of pride, well, that makes a lot more sense when it comes to disability. And especially when we look at the history of our country and many other countries as well, but the United States. When I say our country, I'm talking about the United States because that's the country I know. I really haven't had much experience of any other one. But if I think of the history of disability in the United States, it's not particularly good. We tend to isolate people with disabilities. We tend to exclude, marginalize, discount their positive contributions or their potential. It's not as bad as it used to be by a long shot. I mean, it used to be that when parents knew that they had a child that was disabled, they tended to lock that child away almost to the point of pretending that that child wasn't even existing. They did not want people to know that they had a disabled child because they felt that that would bring shame on them, and they didn't want to deal with that. So, yeah, if you think about pride versus shame, disability pride maybe makes a lot more sense. I guess I get it now. If I think about, no, we don't want people to be ashamed that they have a disability. Given especially that for most of us, disability isn't something that we wished on ourselves or that we even did to ourselves through intentional or unintentional means, right? We either were born with it or we acquired it by some strange and unknown method like MS. We have no idea really what causes MS. There's a ton of theories about MS, but we don't know where it comes from. So why should I be ashamed of it? I guess if I look at it that way, I am kind of proud, because when I had MS, when I found out that I had it, I could have just gone into total give up mode, right? I could have said, well, I guess that means I can't do this, I can't do that. There's no point in trying this. There's no point in stretching myself toward that. My goals have to totally be thrown out the window. I'm just going to sit at home and wait for myself to die and get out of the way. No, I didn't do that. I decided to go back to school. I earned a graduate degree. I wrote a book. I continued to try new things and stretch myself because I know that I have a lot to contribute. And I guess if that isn't pride in the sense of the opposite of shame, I don't know what is. Now, I just wanted to also mention a book that I happen to be reading. My alma mater, the University of Rochester, has a book club, kind of a virtual book club that we've been doing. And the book that they chose for us to be reading this time, I thought was exactly the right sort of thing to talk about when we talk about disability versus whether to be proud of it or ashamed of it. And I don't know if you've read this book or not, but I would highly recommend it. I'm only, a fraction of the way through it, but I can already see where it's going to be a wonderful book, and it's exactly the kind of thing that I was just talking with you about. This woman, Virginia Hall, had so much going for her. She was energetic and intelligent. She knew several languages. She had lived, although she was born in America, she had lived in Europe for a good chunk of her life, in France in particular. And then when World War II broke out, as you may know from your history books, the Nazis wasted no time in taking over Paris and pretty much taking over the country of France. And so she wanted so badly to help with the war effort. And she had driven ambulances and she knew a lot of stuff. She knew all about France. She could be a great resource to the Allies, but they kept dissing her because of her disability, for one thing, and also because of her being a woman. But her disability was that she had a hunting accident and had ended up losing her leg, I guess her lower leg maybe, and had this prosthesis. And so they just kind of wrote her off. They thought, there's nothing she can do for us. It took quite a lot of doing before she was able to find a way to help with the war effort. And she didn't just help with the war effort. Apparently, her contributions were instrumental in the Allies winning the war, which I can't wait to read about and find out exactly what she did. But I would be willing to bet you that you have not heard of Virginia Hall, right? And maybe this will help inspire you to get out there and read that book, because I do think there's an awful lot here that we can learn, not just about our own history, but about perhaps the sad history of us and our relationship with disability. Oh, yeah, it's sad, isn't it? We keep thinking we're making strides, and the fact that this book has even been written and that people are now interested in revisiting the history of this person and the contributions that she made as a disabled woman, I think it's a really good thing. But obviously, the whole thing was kind of hush-hush, not talked about for a very long time. She was not considered all that instrumental, where, if she'd been a person who did not have a disability, even better if she'd been a man, even better if she'd been a white man, her name would probably be a household word today, right? So, all right, I'm not going to go getting political on you, but you see what I'm saying? This is a classic example of pride versus shame as opposed to pride versus humility. I think that they wanted her to basically be ashamed of her disability, and instead she just said, no, I still have something to contribute. I am still a person of value, and I will continue to try to make a contribution to something I believe in. And so I guess that's kind of the message I want to leave with all of you today, and myself too. I always need to hear this as well. Let's never give up. We can make a difference in the world. We can do all kinds of things. Just because we happen to have something that society labels as a disability doesn't mean that our life is of no value at all and that we have nothing to contribute. So let's never forget that. Let's not think in terms of shame or futility or lost opportunity or goals that we have to give up. Let's think about, what can I do? What do I still believe in? And keep on keeping on. That's all I really wanted to say today. But I am thankful that all of these things kind of conjoined in my life at the same time to get me thinking, and I hope they get you thinking too. Well, until next time, take care, and I will see you again in my next video.